Hey everybody. Today I want to talk about movies. Now, in different countries such as China, such as Italy, Mexico, and Japan, many people watch movies from Hollywood in America. Today, we're going to talk about a movie that a Japanese student really likes. That's a Western movie from America, and they want to talk about this movie in English. So they asked me to help them fix their wrong English so that they can talk about it correctly. That is what today's episode is about on the Social English Podcast. We'll get started right after these words from Soda, the Japanese.
今日は英語修理店のエピソードです。英語を勉強している日本人が英語の間違いを正してくれないかと尋ねました。これを実際の会話英語で行ってみます。
Hey everybody, Percy here. Welcome back to another episode of the Social English Podcast. And if you are a new listener, I am so happy you are able to find us and you are able to spend some time with me today getting better at English. If you are a returning listener, I want to say, hey, salute, welcome back. I really appreciate it. Now, if you get a chance to, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this podcast. So let's get started with today's episode. Today, we have another interesting English repair shop episode. A Japanese person who is studying English in college, at home, or maybe even in high school, often ask me to help them fix their English so that it is correct. Today, that is what we're going to do. We're going to see if we can help them out with their English. This way, you, the listener, can also learn. You can also learn and use that information to get better with your English as well. With every English repair shop episode, like today, we have 4 parts. In part 1, I will read exactly what the Japanese person said in the wrong English. In part 2, I will say the correct English in a conversational, social English style. So conversational English, but social conversational English. Not shopping, not business talk, just social interactions. In part 3, I will give you any hints that I think are important so that you don't make these same mistakes. In part 4, I will say the corrected English version and a fast, natural speed. This way, you can also practice listening. Okay? So that's what we're going to do today. You can also practice your listening skills. So, first, before we start, I want to say these episodes, if you are a beginner and I speak too fast, please put your podcast at 0.5 speed. If you are a returning listener and you are intermediate or high level English, please just listen to the way the English is corrected and the words that are used. Also, pay close attention to part 4, the fast English part. That way, you can get better with your listening skills because, of course, I will be speaking in part 4 in a fast, natural speed of English. Okay? So, let's get started with part 1. This is the Japanese student. This is their wrong English. Okay, so please listen to the wrong English. Please listen. Here we go. 1. I was watching Ghost and crying very much. 2. By the way, this movie is one of the most famous 90s Western movie in Japan. 3. Especially the scene of Potter's Wheel is very impressive for Japanese. 4. How's your country? Is it famous? Okay. Here is the wrong English. Part 1, just the English only. I was watching Ghost and crying very much. By the way, this movie is one of the most famous 90s Western movie in Japan. Especially the scene of Potter's Wheel is very impressive for Japanese. How's your country? Is it famous? Okay, so that is the wrong English. That is the wrong English. If you are an intermediate, medium level, or advanced high level English listener to this podcast, how would you correct that English and those sentences? Well, this is how I would correct them. This is part 2, social English in a slow speed. Please listen carefully. 1. I was watching Ghost yesterday, and I still cry a lot when I watch it. 2. By the way, this is one of the most popular Western movies from the 90s in Japan, even today. Number 3, Japanese people really enjoyed the pottery wheel scene. 4. Is this movie popular in your country? Okay, I'll say it again, this time with the English parts only. I was watching Ghost yesterday, and I still cry a lot when I watch it. By the way, this is one of the most popular Western movies from the 90s in Japan, even today. Japanese people really enjoyed the pottery wheel scene. Is this movie popular in your country? Okay, so as you can listen to that, you can hear how I corrected those sentences. So let's listen to my hints on today's episode. I've taught many Japanese people from elementary school age children to adults that were skilled in English, but they still have a problem with famous and popular. Most of the time, famous is used for a person or people. For example, Brad Pitt is a famous actor from America, while popular is used for something else. A popular movie, a popular song, a popular car. Here is a good example. The most popular car in America is the Ford F-150. Impressive can't be used to talk about a movie scene in the way the Japanese student used it today. The reason is because we can't understand exactly what was impressive. Instead, you can say Japanese people thought the pottery wheel scene was very moving. Okay, so that is the end of part 3. Let's move on to part 4. Here is the same corrected English, but in a fast, natural speed. Please listen. I will repeat it after I say it for the first time. I was watching Ghost yesterday, and I still cry a lot when I watch it. By the way, this is one of the most popular Western movies from the 90s in Japan, even today. Japanese people really enjoyed the pottery wheel scene. Is this movie popular in your country? I was watching Ghost yesterday, and I still cry a lot when I watch it. By the way, this is one of the most popular Western movies from the 90s in Japan, even today. Japanese people really enjoyed the pottery wheel scene. Is this movie popular in your country?
このショーを気に入っていただけたら、5つ星のレビューをぜひお願いします。コメントは英語か日本語でお書きいただければ喜んで読ませていただきます。リアルソーシャルイングリッシュ .com にアクセスしてぜひ無料でダウンロードしてください。ほとんどの日本人の英語を勉強している人がやってしまいがちな7つの間違いとその正しい言い方。 また、毎日英語を上達させるのに役立つ資料もたくさんあります。Apple Podcast、Google Podcast、Stitcher、そして今はパンドラでもポッドキャストを購読いただけます。支援者になっていただけませんか？私たちがこのショーを作るための支援として$5の寄付をお願いできませんか？今後のエピソードで感謝の気持ちをお伝えします。また、そこでしか利用できない新しいコンテンツも入手できます。patreon.com/socialenglish からご参加ください。ソーシャルメディアで私たちのポッドキャストを友達にシェアしたり、Twitter、Facebook、Instagram のフォローをお願いします。
And there you have it, everybody. The corrected English of a Japanese person studying English that wants to talk about the movie Ghost and the pottery scene. I hope that you learned something that you can use for your own English learning journey. Don't forget to listen to episodes 126 through 131 about beginning conversations and how to make one. It is one of the most important series I made on this podcast so far. If you liked this episode, don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I'd really appreciate it. I'll see you in our next episode. Peace and love.
今日は楽しい時間をありがとうございました。ぜひ私たちのウェブサイト realsocialenglish.com を訪問して日本語訳と役立つ情報を手に入れてください。また次回お会いしましょう。バイバイ。See you next time. Bye bye.